CBS Sports ranked all the front office across the NBA, and can you guess where the Chicago Bulls fell? We got to talk about it. Are they one of the worst in the NBA currently? That's definitely something that's been on our mind for a while. And then in today's show, we got to talk about Jaden Ivey. Does he have the most to prove coming out of the All-Star break? Y'all know we're going to talk about it, break it all down, but you got to hear the music first.
Cognac, gang.
Shy Boys Podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down for today's daily episode. So if you're tuned in, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button and hit that subscribe button as well. Y'all know we got to talk about the Bulls, even when they give us a headache over here. But hey, CBS Sports, they came out and they did a ranking for the front office across the entire NBA. And they have the Chicago Bulls ranked at 28th. In the NBA. That means they believe the Chicago Bulls are one of the worst front offices in the entire league. This article was done by Sam Quinn, so if you want to check it out to see who are some of the ones ahead of the Chicago Bulls, you can go ahead and do so at CBS Sports. But he has the Chicago Bulls ranked at 28th, just ahead of the New Orleans Pelicans and the Sacramento Kings. And there's a number of things that Sam Quinn said throughout this article, but some really telling ones is what I'm going to pull on and really just talk about here in just a second. He went out there and say, it seems after the trade deadline and while the trade deadline was going on, the Chicago Bulls just threw a bunch of talent together and are trying to see what sticks. And that can hold some validity to it. When you talk about some of the moves that went out there, we was like, okay, cool. We cooking. We got Jaden Ivey. We'll rock with it. When we got rid of Kevin Huerter, bet. Then you go out there and you flip Vooch for Anthony Simons, bet. And then you go out there and you move Ayo Dosunmu. You move guys like Kobe White. And then we was like, damn, no big man? What we doing here? No big man that we can actually move around with when it comes to what we're trying to do here and how we're trying to move. Now, one could argue, hey, these moves let the Chicago Bulls go out there and take flyers on guys like Jaden Ivey, take flyers on guys like Rob Dillingham, and see if they want to retain one of the two quote-unquote bigs that they brought in Yabusele or Nick Richards. So that's some interesting stuff. Sam Quinn went on to say this: Montes Buzelis is good. Giddey is at least a regular season floor raiser. Jalen Smith has settled in nicely as a spacing big off the bench. There is no defense to be found here, and I can't really figure out what the plan is beyond play fast and figure it out. They just went through a mini teardown, so let's see how the offseason goes. But it's been quite some time since the Bulls had a clear, definable vision, so none of this is really out of the ordinary. Sam also, throughout the article, went on out and criticized the Bulls front office and Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley, and pretty much let everyone know that these guys didn't get first-round picks for any of the people that they had on their team. Not DeMar DeRozan, not Alex Caruso, not Lonzo Ball. They did go out there and get a first-round pick for Zach LaVine, but does it really count when that first-round pick was the first-round pick that was supposed to be yours in the first place? So, yeah. There's been a number of things that we talked about regarding the Chicago Bulls front office over the last few years, especially hosting this show. And when you think about it, you just continue to run yourself into the same wall of what are these guys doing? Now, we'll go out there and say that some moves in recent, history, when we dive a little bit deeper into them, they look a little bit better. The Zach LaVine trade looks a little better because you are able now to have guys like Zach Collins, who has not played this season. You have Trey Jones, who you are able to resign, and you just flip Kevin Huerter for Jaden Ivey. So that's understandable. And then, excuse me. And then when you look at the Isaac Okoro trade for Lonzo Ball, up until this point, we can all agree that Isaac Okoro has been the better basketball player for Lonzo Ball. However, when it comes to that Lonzo Ball situation, there were rumors percolating around the NBA world that the Chicago Bulls had an opportunity to acquire a first-round pick for Lonzo Ball. So then again, we have to take that with a grain of salt. And when you talk about the Chicago Bulls and how they have drafted over the years, something else that Sam Quinn has mentioned, a lot of the draftees are no longer here. And when you look at who the Chicago Bulls drafted over certain players, you look at what type of impact could have been on the basketball court for the Chicago Bulls. We talking about Noah Essengate. Look, I'm not going to count the young fella out, but a Derek Queen looked pretty damn good to me. Look, I like Dalen Terry as a person, not so much as a basketball player. Does he have game? I believe so. But what would a Walker Kessler look like in a Chicago Bulls uniform today? He is going through his injury and out for the season. However, we don't know if that was going to be the case if he would have been here in Chicago. But working with this training staff, sometimes you just never know. Sometimes you just never know with the Bulls and how they're going to go out there and operate. It appears that the Chicago Bulls are trying to start this quote-unquote second iteration, but I feel like it's like the third or fourth. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Do you feel like this is legit the second iteration of their team? Because, yeah, I know that we had guys like Caruso, Vooch, Levine, and DeMar, but then you got rid of some of those players, and you were left with Kobe White, Josh Giddey, and Nikola Vucevic. That's a different looking team. Or do we just omit all of that and say that as long as Vooch was here, as long as Io was here, as long as Kobe was here, that's still that first or that iteration of that team of Lonzo Ball, DeMar, Levine, Vooch. And that because Kobe White and Io was still present during that time. But I look at it as these guys have had multiple opportunities to do the right thing, and they have failed to do so. So when you think about it, hey, there's no way that you can have them rank higher than 28th. The two teams that are below them are appropriately below them. However, should the Chicago Bulls be back behind the New Orleans Pelicans? Because right now, they at least have Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Zion Williamson, Derek Queen, and that looks like a better product to me than what the Chicago Bulls currently have. Now, I go out there and agree with some people that may say, well, hey, they did just trade away one of their picks to go get Derek Queen. Fine, cool, and dandy. But at least right now, as it currently stands, one could debate that the talent that is presently on the floor is much better than the Chicago Bulls. I get the Zion Williamson stuff. I'm not going to get into the personal stuff, but we all know and we all get it. We all get it. But the Chicago Bulls, they don't deserve to be ranked any higher than where they are right now. Like I said, we can debate if they should be further down the list. But again, I'm not going to make that case for them. I'm not going to make any cases for them to be ranked higher. I don't care. You have to do better. The product for Chicago has to be better. We deserve better in Chicago. Don't nobody go out there and the smart people, we chilling at the crib. We'll watch the game from the crib. And if you find a site, you find a site. Whatever site you want to be on, take it for what you will. That's what you're going to watch it on. If you wanted to skip the game and watch the highlights, cool, fine, and dandy. Hey, I don't blame anybody for fanning how they want to fan when it comes to the Chicago Bulls front office because they have not given us anything to celebrate up until this point. Again, I am focusing on the development of said players that's currently on the team. However, I'm not going to be delusional in my fandom for a team that ain't taking my fandom seriously. Get better, do better, and maybe we'll rank you better. But hey, we move on. Let me know y'all thoughts on that. We'll move on. Now it's time to talk about Jaden Ivey. Now, the Chicago Bulls, so we talked about all the players they acquired over the offseason. I'm tripping. at the trade deadline, we talked about all those players that were acquired for the Chicago Bulls. And hey, some players, I can't say that I like them. I can't say that I'm really feeling them. I'm trying to see what they can bring to the team. That's what I would say. I'm trying to remain even keel when it comes to grading and filling out said players. That goes for Anthony Simons, Colin Sexton, so on and so forth. But in just a short span of games, do you all feel that Jaden Ivey has the most to prove in the Chicago Bulls uniform coming out of the All-Star break? We know guys like Anthony Simon is a scorer. He can score with some of the best of them, you know what I'm saying? Probably not the best, but he can definitely score at a high level. We know that Colin Sexton is not pretty much going to stick around long. At least that's my anticipation, unless the Chicago Bulls pivot to something else and he plays really, really hard. But I don't expect him to really stick around too long. We know that Rob Dillingham didn't receive much opportunity down with Minnesota, but in some of the opportunities that he has had in a few games before the break, he looked all right. That's why I'm bringing this question to you all. Does Jaden Ivey have the most to prove after the All-Star break? Because in his 4 games, it's been a little bit up and down when you watch. Statistically, it says he's doing all right. In just 4 games, Jaden Ivey has 11.5 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, shooting 38% from the 3, about 42% from the field, if I remember correctly, and only playing 28 minutes per game. Me personally, he has the most to prove coming out of the All-Star break, and here's why. The reason I'm saying that Jaden Ivey has the most to prove coming out of the All-Star break is simply because once a former lottery pick really trended upward in Detroit, goes through the injury, has to pretty much start back down at that floor he previously set. And in the Chicago Bulls uniform, he's headed into restricted free agency. And this is a guy I'm hoping that can really show himself, because I believe he has a high upside if he can go out there and put it all together in the city for us. So I will go out there and say and put it on record, I believe he has the most to prove coming out of the All-Star break, not only because I believe he can line up next to Josh Giddey, but I think that he could be really good based off what we've seen prior to injury. It's going to be up to him, though. It's going to be up to him. I'm rooting for the kid, but it's going to be up to him. It's going to be up to him to piece it all together. Shoot the ball at a really good level. Make smart decisions, bro, because all I remember is, here you go. And I was like, what were you thinking? Did the gears stop? What happened with that pass, my boy? It's all I'm asking. It's all I'm asking. But I think he has some game. He's getting that athleticism back. He should be able to help out Josh Giddey. If Josh Giddey comes back, I believe the Chicago Bulls will bring Josh Giddey back. It's an interesting question to even ask if they should bring him back, considering that the Chicago Bulls appear to be in tank mode. But I think that once Josh Giddey gets back, we'll be able to see and have a clearer picture of who can line up beside him a little bit more or a little bit better. And I think Jaden Ivey is capable of doing it. But again, it's not going to be up to me. It's going to be all placed on him to go out there and show us what he's truly made of, so we can go out there and continue to build this thing out. We need to go out there and we need to have a clearer vision of this team by the end of the season. I don't anticipate that many wins coming for the Chicago Bulls. So my main focus is development. If you want to go out there and get pissed off at the losses that are going to come, they're coming. That's you. I would not be mad at you. I would not criticize you. I'm just letting you know where I stand. It's all about development. And honestly, let's go ahead and shoot for the picks at this particular moment. We're not going to the playoffs. I don't want to be in the play-in. We ain't doing nothing if we do go to the playoffs. We're getting waxed in the first round, if that even happens. I don't even think that's a thing to even think about at this particular moment. And if before we even get to the playoffs, we in a play-in, we might see the Miami Heat again and get skunked again. But nonetheless, that is it for me today, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode of Shy Boys Podcast. Before y'all get up out of here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well, man. We appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all always see red, and y'all already know. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure. Peace.
Cognac. Gang.